Yeah. Oh, so he doesn't want the annexation for the jail?
No, that's not what it's about.
Oh, I know what it's about. Looking out the future,
We'll call tonight's public hearing to order. Ask the clerk to read roll, please.
Councilman Capshaw.
Here.
Councilman Stevenson.
Here.
Councilman Plow.
Here.
Councilman Stewart.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Griefu.
Here.
Councilwoman Sandburn. Present. And Councilman Micklet.
Here.
Thank you. First thing I'd ask is that you will either turn off or mute your phone if you have it with you before we start. And then I'm going to read something. I think it's important that we help give you an understanding of what the annexation and rezoning process is and what our goal is tonight, which is just to talk about the annexation process. Okay, so let me read this and hopefully it'll clear up some of what might be on your mind. Recent public discussion surrounding a proposed annexation and rezoning for an industrial park in North Kokomo has prompted many questions about how these decisions are made. While the two issues are often discussed together, annexation and rezoning are separate legal actions that follow a structured process under Indiana law designed to ensure transparency, public participation, and careful review. Annexation determines whether or not property becomes part of the city of Kokomo, while rezoning determines how land may be used once it is inside city limits. In this case of the proposed industrial park, all property owners within the proposed annexation area submitted a petition requesting to join the city. This is sometimes informally referred to as a super voluntary annexation. A separate rezoning application was filed to change the zoning classification of the property if annexation occurs. After receiving these petitions, the city prepared required materials, including a fiscal plan outlining how municipal services will be provided to the area. After this evening's public hearing on annexation, that fiscal plan, identified as resolution number 2854, will be heard by this council as required by state law, that state and adopt the written fiscal plan, adopting that and made available for public inspection, so residents have an opportunity to proposal and participate in the process. Formal step in the rezoning process is review by the Kokomo Plan conducted their public 2026. Typically, the recommendation is either favorable or unfavorable. The City Council serves as the final decision-making body. It affects the requirement that the annexation ordinance itself will separate readings. Again, those are two will not come before this council until March 9th and March 30th, 2026, as it also requires two readings and successful votes if it is to proceed. Neither the annexation ordinance nor the rezoning ordinance will be heard by or voted on by this council this evening. Even if approved, annexation does not take effect immediately. Should annexation be approved, the ordinance must be published, followed by a 30-day appeal period. Only after that period expires and the ordinance is officially recorded would the annexation become effective. At that point, any rezoning would also take effect. It is important to understand that annexation and rezoning alone do not authorize construction. Any future development would require that a prospective developer first submit an application to the Plan Commission, which would then lead to additional approvals, including development plan review, infrastructure planning, and building permits, each of which may involve further public hearings. Indiana law divides responsibilities among property owners, the Plan Commission, and the City Council to ensure multiple layers of review and public input have taken place. This process is intended to balance community participation with long-term planning considerations. Residents who wish to participate may attend public meetings, submit comments, and review materials as decisions move forward. Over the past few weeks, members of the City Council, the mayor, as well as county elected officials have received many emails where a number of people have expressed their views about the rezoning annexation, and their perceived ideas concerning what could be annexed. Many of our council either attended, watched the version of the plan committee arrives. We have allocated plenty of time, which would establish protocol, most important for us, rather than that signed up tonight from repeating the same thing. Like you, we have also heard speculation. That is exactly what it is at this point, is speculation. Conversation or conjecture about a data center is simply not on the table at tonight's public hearing and is off topic. The council's limit of responsibility from now until the end of March 2026 are the issues I have already spoken about, which are tonight's public hearing, an annexation fiscal plan, annexation itself, and rezoning. Finally, let me remind you of two important dates in this annexation and rezoning process. March 9th, 2026, the Common Council will consider the annexation ordinance and the rezoning ordinance separately on first readings. March 30th, 2026, the Common Council will consider the annexation ordinance and the rezoning ordinance separately on second readings should their first readings pass. We'll now begin our hearing. I'd like to ask the city clerk to call for our first speaker, please.
Our first speaker is Rick Emery.
We'll have Rick stop for a second.
And Rick, before you start, I'll have the city clerk read ordinance 7229 by title only, please.
Excuse me, first. Normally, when you have these meetings, you can bring to the clerk,
Rick, if you will, wait and let me do our business first, okay? So if you'll be patient, I'll ask the city clerk to go ahead and read ordinance 7229 by ordinance only, please.
Ordinance 7229 is an ordinance annexing certain territory to the city of Kokomo, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the city of Kokomo, Indiana.
Thank you.
okay,
Yes,
first
sir.
off, what I wanted to say was normally when you call the meeting, you open it up for any communication with the council. What I signed up for was, yes you do, was to make a comment about a personal problem that I'm having to the council. I have no comments for this ordinance, so I'd like to be able to come up some other time in this meeting and make my presentation.
After we do the public hearing tonight, we'll have a regular meeting when it's completed.
Okay,
So
then-
that may be an hour and a half.
That's fine.
2 hours from now.
That's
okay?
fine. I just, I was told to sign the list, and that's what I did.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Got it.
Clerk will call the next speaker, please.
Tim Hansen.
If you will, sir, state your name for us.
Tim Hansen.
You're ready ahead.
I live about a mile from this property that's being proposed to be annexed, and a lot of other people do too. We were not aware of it until we heard about it on public or social media. The questions I have is, if this gets annexed in and rezoned into high industrial, is the city going to guarantee our property values will not decrease? Will they guarantee our wells won't go dry? And why not use and promote Lincoln Business Park? That's an industrial park off Goya Road. The other thing I have is that I found a list of the owners of this property. The Howard County Board of Commissioners is one of the owners. Now, to me, that represents a conflict of interest.
So that's not what we're here for tonight. This is concerning the annexation of that
I
ground.
understand that.
Okay.
But to say that they don't have influence over this would be nondescript.
That would
Okay?
be another day. It's not
Right.
for tonight's meeting.
I think as a group, a lot of people are saying we don't want to be part of Kokomo where we live. And it's going to impact our traffic routes, our roads, our school buses, the children that are out there. It can present a lot of safety problems. We've seen an increase in traffic down the road that I live on just in the last 3 or 4 years. People getting off the battery plant, off Chrysler. I don't know if you're familiar with Toby Pike or not, but it's become a thoroughfare down through there. And people, a little half-mile section, they'll run 50, 60 miles an hour down through there from one stop sign to another, just to see how fast they can go. This is why I'm saying this is like a public safety concern. Okay? I hope everybody takes that into consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Stassi Kendall.
It's Stacy Kendall, and I'm gonna wait till the next meeting because I know I'm just gonna say you're gonna mix what I'm gonna say, so I'll wait till next one.
Mark. Harold.
I have nothing to say at this time, but we can't hear you. Can you adjust?
Me? You can't hear me?
You want me to do it?
No, I'm good. You're next, Ally.
Hi, I'm Allie Pond. Let me get my note open here. Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the City Council for allowing us to have this public that I'm not anti-growth or anti-development, but I'm very pro-response. Those principles are outlined in the Kokomo Comprehensive Plan. This proposal directly contradicts in several ways. Tonight, I want to focus specifically on the Comprehensive Plan's objective to diversify the economy. If this land is approved for annexation and rezoned to high industry, I believe this does the exact opposite. We have already ridden earlier, of the automobile, one of the most stable and consistent with, there are no complete impact assessments and no clear outline of potential burdens. Council is prepared to negotiate. I would also like to highlight specific concerns within this fiscal plan. First, it assumes rezoning of the OAI overlay. However, most of this land in question remains in the ag overlay, and this discrepancy matters. Second, the fiscal plan identifies only one household with a population of 2, yet the map I sent you earlier today identifies 5 other households that are strategically etched out, and I believe that this omission understates the service demand and skews the financial analysis before you. Third, the plan references the need for fire hydrants, but does not designate who will pay for the installation of these fire hydrants or where the water will come from. On the topic of emergency services, while the Indiana Department of Homeland Security does not require formal community risk assessments, one can be conducted by a third party. Currently, emergency response to my home is responded to by the Galveston Volunteer Firefighter Department. Unfortunately, I had an incident with a deck fire this past summer, my fault, and it took over 25 minutes to get a response. And that's only 2 minutes further away than the closest Kokomo station is. I've been talking with Chief Stackhouse about this concern and plan to follow up with him after this meeting as well. Before expanding city boundaries, we should understand the real impact that this will have on response times and public safety infrastructure. Finally, a significant landholder in this proposal is the IEDC, which is still currently under investigation regarding financial oversights. This concern is related to the House Resolution 1511. Before entering a long-term fiscal commitment involving land substantially connected to that entity, I believe those matters should be resolved, and they are set to this summer. For all these reasons, I respectfully ask for you to vote no on this fiscal plan as it is written in front of you today. I ask you require corrections, complete impact studies, and full financial transparency before moving forward. And if I may, regardless of what is decided tonight or in March, I believe our community is resilient, and I trust that whatever is meant to be will unfold as it should. Thank you.
Thank you. I might add that I thank you, Ms. Pond, for submitting to all of us an email today that explained those questions. And we spent some time together before this meeting trying to go through those and responses that I got from the city attorney today. We got about halfway done before we had to stop, and we'll finish that today. But I think it does warrant that I let everyone know, let the council know, that I sent this to the city attorney, and the response, he responded to each of the questions, and the bottom line is, he says, the fiscal plan meets the statutory requirements to be considered. So with that, we'll proceed to the next speaker, please.
Thomas Sharp.
Thomas Sharp.
Hi, Thomas Sharp, 1308 Meadowbrook Drive. I'll do my best as we go along to cut out things so I don't repeat. But I want to start off with two quotes, one from Thomas Jefferson. "The purpose of the government is to enable the people of a nation to live in safety and happiness. Government exists for the interest of the governed, not the governors." And secondly, Thomas Paine, "A body of men holding themselves accountable to nobody ought not to be trusted by anybody." I'm not going to stand here and tell sob stories. We already did that at the zoning board meeting, who wasted our time by giving a non-binding recommendation regarding county property that the City Planning Commission has zero jurisdiction to give and has zero business giving, even discussing, because it's still in the county. And they clearly voted that they don't give a crap what the people of Howard County want. And that meeting was a charade. That meeting was a charade and a distraction. You saw how many people were out here the last time, and now we have nobody because they think that this is a done deal because of that meeting. It served to have the zoning board serve as cannon fodder so that this board could squeeze something through undetected. But mark my words, if this passes, a growing group of discontent citizens will go door to door from one corner of this county to the other to make sure that no incumbent official on this board that votes yes on this issue gets reelected, political party aside. I could talk about infrastructure. I can talk about pollution. I could talk about crushed dreams all night, but you don't care because your buddy is going to make 7% or more. Or Paul, is it more than 7%? I think it probably is.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir, I'm going to interrupt you. If you have anything else to say that's on topic, please do that. If not, we'll end your presentation because everything that you said, everything you just said, and we start to make personal attacks, we're not going to do that tonight.
It's all been on topic and about the annexation.
Okay, how much time do we have left?
Mr. Moore is on record calling this, and you did tonight, calling this a super voluntary annexation because he and you are claiming that 100% of the property owners want annexed. Those property owners include Indiana Economic Development Corporation, Whitmore and Blackwell, and a developer buying more than 400 acres and Samsung. You make it seem like it's residents that want annexation. These are corporations that want to sell to other corporations, making billionaires more billions and keeping the Howard County saddled with higher utility costs and polluted water. Part of this property, which is up for annexation and rezoning, is owned by the IEDC. Ms. Pond mentioned already that they're under investigation, so I'll cut that part out. So, on February 16th, the mayor in the Kokomo Post Mayor Tyler Moore show stated that he would support stopping a data center or anything else that the majority of residents of Kokomo didn't want, but put the responsibility on the people to lawyer up and get a referendum on the ballot. Well, I propose to you that if you were elected to serve the people of Kokomo and Howard County, if you want a chance at re-election to continue to represent the people of Kokomo, then you place an immediate moratorium on this project until the people can vote on it.
Sir.
I ask that the servants of this city put a referendum on the next election that poses this question. Will you support the rezoning?
Your time is concluded. Thank you.
Grace Moore. Grace Moore.
Good evening, council members. My name is Grace Moore, and I live currently about 2 miles away from the proposed rezoning area. Unfortunately, I do need to scrap 90% since we've been told we will not be discussing this, and I understand. I appreciate you guys letting that out for us. But I do want to discuss this real quick. On your agenda, it says call to order, prayer, roll call.
That's for the next
That's for the next
meeting.
one? Thank you. I assume you will be doing a prayer then.
We will.
Thank you. Appreciate that. In my opinion, we need a little less government, a whole lot more Jesus.
Absolutely.
I do have a couple of concerns. I know, like you guys said, have all watched the videos from the last meeting. So I just want to re-express that despite only having a 7-day notice, your constituents brought forward their valid concerns of the loss of farmland, disruption of their daily lives, destruction of natural resources, environmental harm, excessive water usage, additional rise to the utility bills, and questionable morals of the corporations involved in the project. I just want to be clear that we're not against growth, but we're against destroying what we have. An annexation of that beautiful farmland and turning it into industrial does not serve the purpose of Kokomo. We've had enough of our land chipped and cut away from the county side to be taken into the city side, and it does not serve a purpose for those of us who live in the county. I'd also like to read a quote from John Sawhill. Society is defined not only by what it creates, but what it refuses to destroy. Thank you.
Caroline Balsam.
Hi. Thanks for having us and letting us speak in front of you. My name's Caroline Bossum, rhymes with awesome, so that way you'll remember me and what I said. So I went ahead and wrote, because last time I was kind of just all over the place with my thoughts, so I just wrote out what I want to read. And I know that your board is comprised of relying on facts, and I know this has to do with annexation, which, you know, I am not for, especially not in my part of the county. The fact is, and I'll start here, my dad and husband served our country during wartime, Vietnam Purple Heart veteran and Gulf War veteran, respectively. They did this for our country. They fought for us and for America so that we can have a voice. They protected our land, and it's our turn to do the same thing. Now, for some more facts, some of the council members came to the last meeting with their minds made up. One was on his phone, one had his hand in his face, you know, just kind of propping his face, and just looked very disinterested. And so I want to know, because they look like they had their minds made up, is this how this board operates? Or will you do, you know, will you take in all the facts into consideration? It's also a fact that decisions have lasting consequences. Your decision will forever tie your names to this. And what if it fails? If it fails after the tax abatements have ended, because typically that's what happens when new businesses come, new industry comes, they get tax abatements, you will have that failure as your lasting legacy. You know how I know? Because I've made bad decisions, and they've stuck with me. So this will be your legacy if a bad decision is made concerning all of this annexation. So regarding the annexation, which it's going to be for an industrial park, there are some facts about things that could go wrong. Environmental pollution. The increased industrialization related to population can hurt human health and the environment. Industrial waste going into waterways. Heavy metals such as lead, mercury, cadmium, and arsenic are often found in industrial wastewater and soil. Particulate matter, which is called PM, such as fine dust and soot produced by manufacturing processes and burning fossil fuels, toxic gases and air emissions, such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon monoxide, greenhouse gases like carbon monoxide and methane, volatile organic compounds, VOC, such as benzene, toluene, and formaldehyde used as solvents or produced during chemical manufacturing, radioactive waste resulting from nuclear power plants. Let's talk about industrial air pollution. What causes it? Inadequate laws and regulations to control emissions and waste. Poor enforcement of existing environmental standards. We've had the poor enforcement already on some of the buildings that are, or some of the businesses that were named last time, and I won't go into naming them all, but there's not been enforcement on some of those, and they've had repeated, things. And so with that poor enforcement, we're going to look at all the pollutions. So delayed adoption of cleaner, more sustainable practices, increased production to meet global needs, demand, leading to higher emissions and waste generation, intensive resources extraction and use, preference for cheaper, more polluting methods over sustainable options due to economic constraints, increased transportation, like it was touched on earlier, and logistics contributing to pollution. So, like, what about the other Superfund sites? Like, what about the steel mill? What about some of the, look at the Tipton plant. I mean, we've got so many, and somebody mentioned the Lincoln industrial area.
Maybe at the end of the 4 minutes. Okay?
Can I finish real quick? I'm real close.
How much more do you have?
Just not even a whole page.
Let's go ahead and stop at 4 minutes. That's what we established, okay? That way
Okay.
everyone doesn't want to come up and spend more time. So thank you for your response.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rick Wilson?
I'll save my time for the next meeting.
Okay. Gary Minlu? Am I saying that? McNew, I'm sorry. Gary McNew.
Well, like others, my presentation tonight is going to be limited because I want to talk about things that, in addition to the annexation, which is really unclear to know what we were going to be exactly discussing tonight. So what I want to say is I first want to express my gratitude, for the opportunity to address the City Council here tonight regarding this petition. There's been a couple of articles lately in the Kokomo Tribune. Yes, I still take the Kokomo Tribune, okay? There's been a couple of articles in there that have touched on enforcement of transparency with our local government. And I found that pleasurable. I found it interesting to read that someone is taking notice, okay, that there needs to be a little more transparency in what we're doing. But keeping with annexation, because that's what we're supposed to talk about, I'm going to stay on target, okay? So I'm going to get rid of about half of what, I may as well just go free fall right now. But by the time this annexation proposal is presented to the public, there's limited time for the public to react and gather pertinent facts. So some of us believe that this is by design, that we're not given much time because we want to get this pushed through, okay? According to the ordinance, which I have passed out, I hope you have in front of you now, that was presented by the mayor, according to the ordinance of 7229, Exhibit A, page 4, item C, titled Population. Okay, I cut that out specifically and handed it to you. I didn't give you the whole 150 pages, okay? I was nice. Okay, so it talks about, it speaks of only one residential property that exists and is impacted. Now, that may be true as far as there's only one of the residential properties that has agreed to this super voluntary annexation. But there are, and that is that because it is in part there's a purchase agreement between property owners and a developer. And that is what I believe how this is being fast-tracked. You look at the map. There are five residential properties that have been carved out of this proposal, which is clearly identified on the proposal map. I don't understand how that happens. Maybe you can explain to us how you can go around, folks. Is it because they didn't want to be a part of the annexation? The one person that this exhibit 7229 addresses was, I believe, was the LLC, that the developer that is wanting this whole thing to go past because there was a purchase agreement stating that if we get it annexed, if we get a zone, then I'm going to give you all your clients a boatload of money. So that's the way I see it. So I just have a hard time understanding, how do we carve around all that? How do we carve around it? I have plenty more to say, but I think at this point I'm going to stop there. I think it's just imperative that we do our research. We look ahead. We find out what is the impact. This impact is going to affect our schools. You know, and yeah, you can say, well, there's other means by which we're going to make that up. Well, perhaps there is, but right now, it is going to be a loss, and there's going to be many, many people that's going to be impacted, and I will have very much more to say at the next meeting.
Christina Dickin.
Hi, my name's Christina Dickin, and I live on 500 North, which is about a half a mile from this proposed annexation. At the last meeting, we talked about, everyone had a lot of questions, and each time those were answered with the comment from Greg Sheeline that this is just a rezoning. It's just a rezoning. We don't have the answers. It's just a rezoning. Well, my opinion is it's not just a rezoning. I've lived in this area my whole life, and this rezoning will affect me, my kids who live right down the road, and their babies. So it's not just a rezoning. It is very important to us that live in that community. You know, the people that live on 450, you know, they've lived there all of my life. I, you know, used to ride my bike past them, and I know them, and we're all a tight-knit group. We know them. So for the other board to say it's just a rezoning is kind of hurtful. So and this rezoning could change our way of life forever. Like, it's not going to go back. To have something unannexed is just about unheard of. So to say, again, that it's just a rezoning, that sounds like to me someone that just doesn't care, because it matters. So personally, when I don't have the answers to something that I'm thinking about doing or you know, making a decision, I don't make a decision. You know, I want the answers before I do things, especially if it's going to affect other people. You know, if it's just me, I can make up my own mind. But when it's other people, it does make a difference. So I'm asking you for a continuance on this rezoning to perhaps give us some more time, and for you to have some more time into answering some of the questions that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Roberts.
Hi, I'm Carol Roberts, and we live on 200 East, me and my husband, and we lived there around 30 years or so. And I grow a big produce patch for the Kokomo Farmers Market. I'm Steiner's Produce. That was my maiden name. I grew up on a farm on the other side of Kokomo. And I'm concerned about the water too, just like everybody else, trying to grow clean produce and stuff. And my other one is the wildlife. We have wild turkeys run through there. We have beautiful deer run through there. All the animals and stuff, where are they going to go? We have beautiful ground out there, and I just hate to see it all ruined with buildings and all this stuff and just damaging everything. So that's what I have. Thank you.
I apologize, David Delero. I apologize. I don't think I said that correctly.
Good evening, David DeLilio. So we live a mile north of the proposed rezoning, and you know, there's a couple new homes that are built out that way. We're getting ready to break ground on a house, and if we just look at industrial, there's a lot of Cuneo Press, the old Delco, GMCH, which they're still monitoring wells from years ago, contamination. So I don't know why we're heading east, or east of 31, and why don't we stay on the west side of 31? There's a lot of vacant ground that's all around industrial, so why not take a look at that? Why go to the east of 31? We have got so many open sites that can be leveled. It's already zoned industrial. I don't know why you want to take ag ground and, you know, we have a whole bunch of natural waterways, so how are you going to monitor all the runoff? So that's all I have.
Brian Heller? Brian? Well, yeah, is it Helm?
Yep.
All right.
So I'm going to reiterate a couple points. Thank you for letting us all speak, by the way. I'm going to touch on the fire real quick. I know the plan, hydrants and things, but you need to really consider if there's industrial there, are hydrants enough? And a fire station at the corner of North and, or Morgan and Apperson, or one downtown isn't going to cut it. So you're going to really have to consider what fire station are you going to build to protect all of us out there in the county, because that's your job too. You know, I own a business in Kokomo, so I expect you to protect the business, but I also expect you to protect my house. So think about that in that proposal. Now, Dave just touched on something, and I didn't see any of you at Paul Wyman's meeting. That's too bad, because there was a lot of information, a lot of people here spoke. And one of the things that we said was, we're not against growth, and we understand what Paul had to say of, we have to have shovel-ready ground, right? And so this is shovel-ready ground. There's nothing sitting there except for one house, right? And a lot of us that are impacted by it. But there's still a lot of acreage that's not being used inside the 31 Morgan, Toby Pike area, okay? So if you're going to annex this, annex that too. And then let's force development in there first. Yeah, you might annex this and eventually we'll get there, but keep the industry with the industry first. Okay? So if you do this 700 acres, take that 200 to 400 acres that's left inside there at the same time. Okay? That's what, and then we can force industry into there first. Paul can still get paid selling ground, and we can keep industry where we want it. Okay? Thank you.
Joe Russo? Already, yes, sir.
Good evening, Joe Russo, 329 East Furman. So I've got a statement prepared. So we've been told there's no specific project proposed for this land. Rezoning and annexation without a defined plan would permanently change the 750 acres of the prime farmland based on speculation, not on evidence. For context, we have two technology parks already. Inventrek Technology Park was established in 2004 and is a business incubator designed, or at least it was sold, to first tech startups and small companies. While it provides space and resources for local businesses, its graduates are limited, and its reported $29 million in economic activity does not translate directly into new tax revenue for the city. So it'd be interesting to see what taxpayers have invested in that project versus what the real tax revenue is that we're receiving, and whether or not that's paid back what's been invested. Similarly, Star Plus has produced only half of its initially proposed jobs, and the cost per job to taxpayers based on verified incentives, these are things I can prove, exceeds $130,000 per created job. So Paul made the comment in his meeting, and if you take a question, you mentioned that there was $100 million in edit funds used for the creation of the line. Is that taxed?
We're not going to do questions if you want to go ahead and present.
Okay.
Please.
All right. So anyway, $130,000 per created job. So let's think about this. According to Michael Hicks of Ball State, he is an economist there. He says that the state of Indiana should not be spending more than $20,000 per created job. The reason being is that over 30 years, you're only going to collect about $20,000. So if we take that number and we calculate it down to each year, it's $667 per year in income tax that would be collected. At $130,000 per created job, that's 195 years it's going to take to return that money. So that's a bad investment. So given this track record, and this is the community here, given this track record, approving rezoning and annexation without a defined project, realistic projections, and verified impacts would be fiscally and strategically irresponsible. Therefore, I request a moratorium or a continuance until a specific development plan is presented, including jobs, wages, tax impact, and infrastructure needs. Permanent decisions deserve defined plans, accountability, and community stewardship, not open-ended possibility. Thank you.
Ann Imes, is that correct? Eames, all right.
Okay, we're fine. Yeah, no, thank you. You mentioned that all fiscal responsibility requirements have been met. I just don't understand how that can be known without knowing what the proposals are for the use. So that's a big question. As city council people, I would expect your responsibility to be mainly for current citizens rather than people who want to become part of the city or say they want their land in part of the city. So one of the things I see lacking right now is a real concentration on improving the environment of our city. And these kind of developments, and I can list a bunch of concerns I have with the developments you've already let into the city. I mentioned the NMP, the N-methylpyrrolidone material, 100,000 tons that we are bringing into our community that you've annexed and you've brought into our community. That material needs to be tested in our wastewater, and lithium. It's currently, you all can ask for that. The EPA does not require, so Katie Trobaugh told me she's not going to ask for that to be monitored. But I'm really asking you to please start monitoring that in our community. Indiana American Water is starting to be asked by IDEM to monitor it in our drinking water. It also needs to be, if you monitor it in the waste stream, then maybe we can catch a problem before it's a major problem. And that's coming out of Jai Wan, who Paul represents, so he can help maybe get that done. But that's,
Excuse me, Ann,
yeah.
is there something about the annexation you want to talk
Yeah,
about?
that's why I'm saying everything you annex is going to affect our city. And so when you're talking about bringing in industry that's bringing in these new materials, if we don't monitor it, it's going to, be a problem for current citizens. So that's our drinking water source I want to protect as much as possible. The 300-acre field I mentioned at the Planning Commission that's already contaminated across the road from us, we need you all to identify the source. The EPA tells me they will not start cleanup until our community identifies the source. I believe you all could identify the source by Delco, probably, because it's right at Plant 1. But see, that's how we're going to clean up what we have currently contaminated. And we've got to monitor what we are doing with new industries. That's my point about annexation. So then the other problem that we're seeing here is that we were told several years ago, that our community was going to be a bedroom community for other industries and things. And it seems like we're switching here now. But who would want to live here if it's known as a contaminated area? So I don't see a consistent view or a consistent vision. Without a vision, the people perish. We need a vision from you all that's really giving us a direction that makes sense, because I just don't see that happening right now. So I'm just asking for that. And any plan that you're bringing into the city, when this all comes to light, what it is about, that's these, and I know you don't want to talk about data centers and you don't want to talk about all that, but any of the people that are bringing in these projects need to be accountable on the use of water. And you all could put a limit, and you could also ask that big users pay more per unit than we pay. That would be a big help. That would help a lot. So that you all could do that. You could ask Indiana American Water to require that. That could be done for gas too, by the way. That would help us. The big users should pay more per unit. So please take that responsibility to help us as current citizens, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kenneth Beard.
Good evening, everyone. Kenneth Beard. Try to be brief here, but just a couple points I want to make. As part of this, eventually, if we annex and then we rezone and we get into an industrial type of zoning, When we talk about energy for Kokomo, utilities will go up for everybody in Kokomo. It's House Bill 1421. We're going to have to build, we've talked about fire hydrants and some other things. Those delivery fees will get passed on to the residents. So if we vote for this, we're voting for higher utility and energy costs for Kokomoans. I think we're talking about one of these gentlemen here, the impassioned gentleman, spoke about the IEDC and some of these other landowners who want to be part of this super voluntary annex. And as much as we like to believe the Field of Dreams industrial park scenario, I think that for us to say that there's no incentive for that shall not be named, if you look at the IEDC's website and the incentives that they provide for that, I think everybody kind of has a feeling based on what's going around the state, what's happening. And I think the lack of transparency is the problem, right? With no transparency, there's no accountability. I think we all agree with that, right? And the last thing for me is, I think you've got competing visions here for Kokomo, right? You have the citizens who have one idea about what this wants to be. And then we have the other thing, which is, hey, we've got Senate Bill 1 breathing down our neck. We have to do something. We need shovel-ready jobs. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. And the point is that this plan, I've heard 30 years, I've heard 3 years in the making, right? That was all done before the Senate Bill 1. That takes away the 30% depreciation floor for equipment and machinery, which means we get zero property tax revenue for this, whatever this industrial facility is, if we allow one to be built. So now we're down to just job creation. And I think there's a lot of ways to create jobs in Kokomo to make Kokomo a great place for people to live without strip mining the land, because, again, it's just about jobs at that point. So I agree with Joe. Some kind of moratorium, continuance, something like that is what we need to do. I think we need to give this a lot more consideration. And I don't think that we can just say, well, it'll all pan out. Maybe something will show up if we vote yes. So thank you.
Jack Chance.
Good evening, council. My name is Jack Chance. If you'll just humor me for just a moment, I promise not to, say the forbidden words or talk about the off-topic things. But when I was a kid, I worked at a gun range just down the road on State Road 19. My family's owned it since the 1970s. And when I was about 14, 15 years old, it was time for me to come and work on the family range. I was given a little bit of a task. I was told to mow the front half and to take care of the weeds along the road. And I did that, but I wasn't very good at it. And, after a little bit, I decided, well, it's kind of fun. I'm not good at it, but it's fun. So I asked my papa, hey, can we expand? Can I do more? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, son, maybe you need to know how to do what I've told you to do before you take on additional tasks. So what I bring before you, council, tonight is I understand it's fun to play city government, but we have all seen what it's like when Republicans lead our city. I drive a car. I know we all do. Most of us do. I know what it's like to hit those axle breakers. I know what it's like to have a long wait when you dial 911 and you are in desperate need. I know that. And you are seeking to take on additional place to provide those services that you already abysmally fail to provide for the land that we already have. So before you decide to fail even more voters, I urge you, by the consent of the governed, do what the governed has told you to do. Thank you.
Hannah, I'm not going to try your last. I know you. I know Hannah, but I'm not going to say your last name.
For the room, it's Hannah, Guillaume, Guillaume.
Yeah.
Hi. So I know you don't want me to say the forbidden word, data center, but I'm going to. Because what I'm looking at is House Bill 1333. It has just passed to the Senate on February 2nd, and it says that if there is annexed farmland, they can bypass local government and put data centers in. I want to say from the beginning that I was here fighting for this. Please say no.
Hannah, data center is not on the plate for tonight. It's not even, it's a conjecture by a lot of people.
I know.
We've heard it too, but stick to annexation, okay?
Yes. Yes, my lord. I'm trying, so
But data
this
center
is what I'm getting
not-
at.
Data center is not part of this annexation conversation tonight. Go ahead.
Okay, so if you choose to annex this in the near future, I know how this works. We've all been playing together for a couple months now, and you're my very best of friends, But what I'm getting at is that if this is annexed and passed, then it will become an industrial park, which then if House Bill 133 gets put in, then they can say, okay, you have an industrial park, congratulations. We are now putting one in here. It won't come back to you as a council. It won't go to the planning commission. It won't go to anybody. They will just put it in. That's why I'm trying to fight now for you to say no on this. So that way it's not my problem and it won't be your guys' problems. It'll be everybody else in the room's problems, but not your guys' once this gets annexed and House Bill 133 goes through. That's what I'm trying to fight for. I know you don't want me to say it. Data center, I said it. But that's what I'm getting at is don't do this now. Stop it in its tracks now so I stop seeing it on Facebook. Please and thank you. Have a good night.
I might also state at this point, before we call the next speaker, that House bill was killed, so it is not on the table. So we'll go to the next speaker.
You can look it up right now if you'd like, because we've been watching it. Melissa Swan, I think that. Good, Swan. Well, the mayor is the last one, so he can answer some of your. We want to hear what you have to say, of course.
My name is Melissa Swain, and I would just like to say about the endangered wildlife, the tricolored bat. There's a few others, and they are endangered across the whole state of Indiana. And when I was little, we used to have a bat tree filled with them. And I just wonder if maybe all of our pollution in the past from all of the other places that we've had may have done it, but I don't think another industrial park is going to be good for that either. But I'll have more to say next time. Thank you.
All right, last speaker, Tyler Moore.
Good evening, Mr. President and Council. I appreciate the opportunity, and I do appreciate everybody being here, not just tonight, but at the Planning Commission meeting a couple weeks ago. Tyler Moore, 517 Tumbleweed Drive. The talk on annexation and the reference to the comprehensive plan is one that I feel, and many others do, is in response to what many have heard from folks in our community for years and decades. I know former Mayor Steve Daly usually comes to these meetings, and he could probably attest to this too. As much as we love Chrysler, now Stellantis, and we love the automotive heritage and the investment that they have made, not only in Kokomo, but in the workforce for decades, for just as long, that reliance on the automotive industry has caused folks to say and encourage and strive for diversity in our economy, to bring additional jobs, high-skilled jobs, high-paying jobs. A lot of the criticism that we get lately is that can we stop with the restaurants and everything and the retail and everything? When are you gonna bring jobs to Kokomo? And I get that there's the opportunity that others have for repurpose of property that has already been developed and used in the past and now is gone. There's been reference of dilapidated buildings and such, but there's also been mention of folks building new homes. I could liken it to that. I mean, if someone is building a new home, the question could be posed, why are you building a new home when there's plenty of inventory of homes in the Kokomo area? The answer to that, I know, but the answer to that is because it's not what the homeowner or the proposed property owner wants. the things that's available is not conducive. It doesn't meet specifications. It's not where they want to be. So in order to entice development, and we've had site selectors in and talk, we've had interested companies come in and look at the GM site, at some of the PPG buildings, a lot of vacant land at the Lincoln Business Park. Those areas are not conducive to what these investments or these developers want. And so having an additional dedicated industrial park gives us that opportunity to finally diversify our community and provide shovel-ready sites that is still in conjunction in response to our comprehensive plan that, again, showed that there was, again, with the construction of the 31 bypass, shows with that overlay district that there is that opportunity at industrial. Now, again, we're just talking annexation. In response to the fiscal plan, it does meet what we are annexing farm ground. So the fiscal plan, the response, the fire protection, everything is conducive in that fiscal plan for what is being annexed. It's true, we don't know what the proposed development is, and we may not know. We may not know for a few years, but the opportunity to have that available is what makes Kokomo attractive to a developer that could bring additional jobs. I mean, those with parents or those with children or grandchildren that have moved away because there's not employment opportunities here, this provides that opportunity to bring diversity. I know we got excited when when Ventec started producing ventilators during the pandemic. Thought, there's our step into the medical industry. Obviously, they pulled out, but there was still that opportunity, so we need that. But just to quickly address some of the things that were discussed, why are we doing this? I mean, if the city folks build the city, I'm going back through, I took notes of what everybody was saying. Yeah, is my 4 minutes up? Okay. I apologize. I did take notes. I wanted to address everybody that was saying, so I will email.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, the mayor was the last speaker, so this concludes tonight's public informational meeting. Okay, we're going to go into to the regular meeting. You're welcome to stay. If you want to leave, now would be the time to leave. There are 4 or 5 other ordinances to be heard tonight. One of those will be the fiscal plan resolution. So I'll give you a chance to leave if you're going to.
What do you think?
No, that was brought. But this one, just the resolution on there. And
Tried to take
what's my first I know.
Yeah.
Yes, question about the public comment.
All of our meetings are public meetings, so the 9th and the 30th
What is
are
yours?
open for you to come tonight, but you may not speak.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's on here. That was just a public hearing.
But you may not get,
Yeah, that was
you
a.
may not get to speak.
Yeah, it is. We're coming, we're doing that. That was just a public hearing.
But we don't have to.
No, it's
we don't have to
okay.
do what we
That's
did.
okay on that. That was just for the public hearing. So we're taking the new meat. Here, look at this.
The open door law doesn't.
Yeah, no parking is right there. You're gonna, we wouldn't not let.
Well, send it, because I know that.
Yeah, if you want to leave it, I'll be glad to read it and respond.
I know.
I think it's just
I
speaking
know.
to the.
So no, you got your, we
Because they did
wouldn't
the
forsake you.
public hearing.
You got a second reading. Right.
So when we come to the rezoning.
That's fine.
Oh, we go to rezoning. I think
Alright.
you want to talk about the rezoning, that's not here. I mean, that'll be here, but not the next week.
We're still on air. We need to get to the.
My daughter, moratorium.
You may not be able to see what it is. You can do that. Okay, so everybody can see it? Okay.
Once it's passed out.
Okay, we will call tonight's regular meeting of the Common Council to order. And tonight, we will have a prayer. Is Brian Hughes still here? By Pastor Brian Hughes, and the pledge will be led by Councilman Matt Greekhugh. If you'll stand with us, or you can stay seated.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. First of all, we just want to thank you, Lord, for your grace and your mercy in all of our lives. Lord, we know that everything we have comes from you, and certainly we are grateful. Lord, we pray that our lives would be pleasing unto you in every way. Lord, we pray for our city and our community, our surrounding area. We continue to pray, Lord, that you would give these members of the council wisdom and guidance and direction as they help us to govern. Lord, I just pray that we would walk together in peace. I pray, Lord, that you would give all of us wisdom in the days to come. And Father, we give you the praise, the honor, and the glory. For we ask it in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. All God's people said, Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Stretch my knees out and feel better.
Councilman Capshaw.
Here.
Councilman Stevenson.
Here.
Councilman Plow.
Here.
Councilman Stewart.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Greekhugh.
Still here?
Councilwoman Sanborn. And Councilman Miklick.
Here. Okay, we have the minutes from the February 9th meeting to approve, if I can get a motion.
So moved.
A
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Are there any committee reports from anyone on the council? Any communications from anyone on the council? Okay, we'll proceed.
Hold on. Rick, you're on, my man.
That's right. Who's going to talk?
Thank you. I came prepared tonight. Rick Emery, 2504 Kent Avenue, Kokomo, Indiana. This goes back quite a few years, back to the last administration, so I'm not going to be picking on Mayor Moore. But the city said that we're going to change the routes for the trash pickup to put it on one side of the street, make it more economical for the trash trucks, things like that. Well, since that went into effect, I have never been allowed to put my trash cans across the street from my house, ever. And I brought it up to the city council member, my councilman, the last administration, sent him an email. I have a copy of the email here saying I was not able to put my trash cans out. I even sat in that room with the city council, presented it to them, and it was passed to the traffic commission. The traffic commission called a meeting and basically voted it down. Now, I lived with it since then, never had a problem. I took it and put it in front of Mr. Melt Brown. Some of you might remember him. He was a World War II vet. I took care of his trash, took his trash out to the street. He never complained about me putting my trash can in front of his yard. 2 weeks ago, the new owners of the house came. I put my trash out on Tuesday. I look out my bedroom window, and my trash has been moved down the street. I go outside, because he was outside, and go, why'd you move my trash can? Because I wanted to park my car there, and your trash can was in the way. Well, I was taught that if it doesn't belong to you, you don't mess with it. It's not yours. So I said, look,
put it back, and don't do it again. He goes, don't be a drama queen. And then last week, it escalated to the fact that he took both of his vehicles out of his driveway and parked them in front of his house. Now, I had zero trash to go out that day, so it didn't affect me. But the neighbor that lives to the south of me had to walk his trash to Kent Avenue and put it underneath the street light.
Rick, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I appreciate what you're saying, but have you approached the street department? Have you approached Mayor Moore?
I have,
Because everything
wait a
you're-
minute.
Everything you're.
I'm getting there, okay?
But everything you're talking about, we don't supervise any of those departments that you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
No, we don't.
My problem
You
is,
need to speak, and I'm trying to help here.
I gave my stuff to the city councilman, and he says I have a case here. Now,
You need to
wait a
speak.
minute.
Then you, no.
No.
I'm not gonna wait a minute.
Hey,
Sir, Rick,
I'm a retired lieutenant colonel, and I have a right to speak.
Now, you don't
I
have a right.
served in
you know,
3 armed
you're wrong.
conflicts.
The open door law does not give you a right to speak, so now you're done.
He gave that to you.
Yes, public comment.
Public comment, sure.
Clay Oliver, 5768 West, 00 North South. I just want to find out, because this was a public hearing you just had.
That's correct.
There are, the next 2 meetings, this is going to be brought up again, correct? And passed on?
We'll bring up annexation and rezoning on
Okay.
March the 9th.
Okay, you had a number of people that wanted to speak later that didn't want to speak tonight. Are they going to be allowed to speak later?
Well, I don't know what they're going to speak about. We were here for the public hearing was annexation, and they chose not to speak.
Okay, but they thought they were going to speak on something else. So
Then
are
we'll-
they going to be able to speak at the next 2 meetings?
There's no guarantee. Again, by the
Okay,
open
that's what I
door law,
wanted-
you don't have the right to speak. You have a right to be present and watch all the public proceedings,
Well-
but you don't have a right to speak,
I
except for a public hearing that we just had.
understand that, but they don't know that. They didn't know that.
I said I'd save my time for the next meeting. I specifically said I'd talk to the next meeting, and then I was told I might not be able to.
But I think you mentioned you wanted to talk rezoning, and that's not on the table tonight at
But
all.
that's the next meeting, and that's what I said. Well, I walked up there and talked to you.
But
and
there's-
you told me in response, I might not be able to speak.
Yeah, you know what, March the 9th will happen. I'll make a decision. We will make a decision whether or not there'll be any public speaking at all or comments. Okay? But that's what tonight was public speaking.
That's wrong, because I specifically said
I hear you.
The next meeting, I should have been told, you may not have that opportunity. Would you like to go ahead and speak tonight?
But I didn't, but
I'm glad that's on record. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as far as, I'm going to agree to disagree with you on being able to speak. It does not say you cannot. There are certain things in there that says you can speak at.
I can read
So-
it. I'm not going to disagree with you
Okay,
or
okay.
cause an issue, but I can tell you that it does say that you don't have the right to speak. You want me to read it to you?
Well,
But you stopped us tonight for saying anything about it.
are you pulling that out of the Public Access Counselor's book?
Can I read it?
Are you pulling that out of the Public Access Counselor's book?
Please let me read it. And
Okay.
it has to do with Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-1. And it's the open door law, and I'll read it verbatim. And the question is, do I have a right to speak at an open meeting? The open door law does not guarantee the right to speak at public meetings. Period.
Okay, read
Okay.
it further.
And it says, although an individual has the right to attend and observe all public proceedings, no specific statutory authority allows an individual to appear before and address a governing body. Period.
Is that out of the Public Access Counselor's book?
I just gave you the IC code.
Okay.
People to believe. You may not say
We're not-
you led them to believe.
Thank you.
that they would give chances.
It's a different topic.
So are we still doing public comments then?
Now, wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Counselor, I have a question for Counselor.
Yeah.
Historically, we have allowed comment for ordinances when they're presented.
Yes.
And this subject would fall under that historical way of doing business.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I could speak for a second.
Thank you.
With this, we didn't want to have different issues. So the president and I were going to talk about what was going to be the protocol at the next meeting. So yes, we want you to be heard. Sometimes it can get offline, but we're going to be back online, so it's going to be okay. But we did have a discussion. What are we going to do about the next meeting? What is going to be our protocol? So everything is going to be okay. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I understand the confusion. We want you to be heard. It is, and it can be confusing, but we're going to right the ship, okay? So just give us that opportunity. Yeah, thank you.
So can I go ahead?
Sure.
Okay, that way I know this was spoken.
Well, we're not going to talk about the rezoning if that's what we're trying. The
Well-
public comment
Well,
is for
then
the
I'm asking
ordinance.
respectfully that I do get that little bit of time. It's not specific. It is about the rezoning and the annexing, but it's not a specific, this is just a humanitarian plea.
Sure.
It is not, can I go ahead?
I mean, we're not going to.
She needs to speak.
I may not get the
we don't-
opportunity. You're telling me I might not. So this is my only opportunity to come before
Will
you.
you let me respond?
Yeah.
Okay, and please, we don't need to shout out. We're all adults here, okay? I've not shouted out at anyone. You don't need to do that to me either. Tonight's purpose, and it always has been the same purpose, it's about annexation. Tonight is not about rezoning. It's just not. We will hear rezoning, okay? It'll be before the council on March the 9th. You just heard the council talk, that we will be talking about that. Do I have an expectation that you'll get to speak about that? Yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So let's be patient. Everything doesn't happen tonight. Tonight is about the annexation
Correct.
process. Okay?
That's why I waited.
Thank you.
But then when I was told I might not get the opportunity, that's why I did that.
Thanks for your patience.
Yep, thank you.
You want to talk about the traffic ordinance?
I want to talk Sheila off.
Is that the traffic ordinance you want to talk about? The
No.
parking?
No.
No, something
No.
else? Okay.
Imperial.
All right.
Cedar
I know,
Crest.
Imperial's coming.
That's
It's coming.
It's on the paper. I can read it.
Not yet.
I know, but we
We're
haven't
not there
gotten
Oh, we're
gotten
not
there
there
yet. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
You're good. Okay, we're gonna proceed.
I'll wait.
You're good. You're good.
We'll proceed, and I'll ask the clerk to read Resolution 2854 by title only, please.
Resolution 2854 is a resolution adopting a fiscal plan for the annexation of certain territory into the city of Kokomo, Indiana.
Councilwoman Sanborn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for support of Resolution 2854.
Support.
Mr. President, Resolution 2854 is a resolution for the city of Kokomo, Indiana, where it wishes to annex an area consisting of approximately 746 acres located outside of but contiguous to the city. Those areas being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is, of course, you can visit on our website to take a look at that. Attached here to and incorporated therein, further depicted in Exhibit B, which is also on our website as well. Whereas pursuant to Indiana Code 36-4-3-3.1, a physical plan must be prepared and adopted by resolution prior to such annexation. The required physical plan included in Exhibit C, which is also on our website, you can visit that, and attached hereto and made a part of hereof, has been prepared and presented to the Common Council of the City of Kokomo for consideration. The physical plan has been reviewed and complies with the requirements of Indiana Code 36-4-3-13. In accordance with Indiana Code 36-4-3-5.1, the City Council held a duly noted public hearing on February 23rd regarding the annexed territory, which we just were a part of. The City Council now desires to adopt a written fiscal plan for the annexed territory. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council hereby adopts the fiscal plan for the annexed territory as more particularly described in Exhibit C, attached hereto and incorporated herein. This fiscal plan is to be adopted prior to the adoption of the annexation ordinance for the annexed territory. And again, all those particular exhibits you can find on the website. You're certainly welcome to visit the website for that and read them in their entirety. Mr. President, I move to adopt Resolution 2854 for fiscal plan of annexation.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Do we have any comments about the fiscal plan? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2854. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I'd ask City Clerk to read Ordinance 7227 by title only, please.
Ordinance 7227 is an amended ordinance, an ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 79, entitled No Parking Generally, Title III, Chapter 79, entitled No Parking Specified Times, and Title VI, Chapter 78, entitled Speed in School Zones of the Kokomo City Code.
Councilman Stewart.
Mr. President, I would like to submit Ordinance 7227 for the council's support on its second reading. Support. Mr. President and City Council, the Ordinance 727 is ordinance establishing no parking on both sides of Imperial Drive, Gano Street, and Arnold Street due to the width of the streets and related to safety concerns. This ordinance is about safety and accessibility. The width of Imperial Drive and Gano Street and Arnold Streets does not safely accommodate both parking on both sides while still allowing adequate room for traffic flow. When vehicles are parked on both sides, it restricts visibility, narrows travel lanes, and creates challenges for emergency vehicles such as fire trucks, ambulance, and police to pass through safely and quickly. By establishing no parking on both sides of the streets, we are prioritizing emergency access, improving traffic movement, and enhancing the overall neighborhood safety for the residents and pedestrians. At this time, Mr. President, I move the Ordinance 7227 be approved on its second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there any comments by anyone on the council? Any comments by anyone in the auditorium? Please.
Hey, listen, I'm Sheila Off. I live out in Cedar Crest Edition anyway. I live
What's
on
your
Trouble.
address, please?
Huh?
Your address?
I'm giving it 1201 Belvedere Drive.
Thank you.
Imperial's right beside me. Okay, but I get some traffic anyway because, well, we went through this in 23 anyway about Chick-fil-A. Okay, Imperial, as far as that, and I understand what that guy said about his trash cans. Now, you want signs put on both sides of Imperial, east and west. No parking this side. Am I correct? Isn't that what I understood to say?
Mr. Stewart, that is correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The street's narrow enough anyway. Who's going to pay attention to those signs? Nobody pays attention and reads signs anyway. First thing. And then you want people to make their driveways bigger so they can park their cars in their driveway. Well, nobody's going to do that either. They're poor people out there. Her first house was built in 56. Mine was built in 58. I'm just saying I don't think that would happen. And when I've already seen what's happened when Chick-fil-A opened up Thursday last week, I mean, traffic is so bad north and south on Imperial, it's terrible. They're lined up down on 931. There's a light there that says the arrow go right, and there's a sign said right on red. But nobody can go because the cars are backed up halfway back on Imperial. And then they come down from 931, getting in off there to go to Chick-fil-A, and then they can't get through there because all the cars are backed up on 931 going north, and then sometimes they're backed up on Savoy all the way to Belvedere. Now, the traffic is, and this has just got started on Thursday. Now, can you imagine how this summer's going to be? Really more and more and more? I mean, I'm just saying, John Pike didn't think this all through. I mean, I know he's a traffic engineer and control guy, and don't think I haven't talked to him. I have. And I'm concerned about the kids playing too. What accident could possibly happen? I'm hoping not. There's always, I want to have the hope and have a good, gracious prayer with hope on that one. Things don't happen, but I can see more and more problems coming. As far as the trash cans, and let me just go, mailboxes are on the east side of Imperial. So it's a federal law to block a mailbox. And you want signs there too. And you want signs on the east side and the west side. So it's a federal law to block a mailbox, period. And then you got the trash cans. What side's the trash cans going to go on? You know, before, I'm assuming the trash truck reversed Imperial before the parking lot, the Sandor parking lot, because it was dead end. And I'm sure the arm on the trash can goes out to the right, because that's how mine does, because mine's on Belvedere and he has to reverse and puts his arm out there. My trash can is on the west side. So his is on the west, theirs should be on the west side too, but if you got the signs there, no parking, are you going to put trash cans there too? Or does he go in, since Imperial has opened up, he has went in and turned around in Sandor's parking lot with permission from Sandor. But remember, this is Imperial City. They pay property taxes. I don't know if Sandor had an agreement with them or not. I would know that, but I can see more and more and more problems coming when Chick-fil-A gets more and more started. I'm not against Chick-fil-A, don't get me wrong. I just think it was the wrong location to begin with. That's what I said back in December 23, and I kept saying that every hearing. But, okay, it is as it is, but we got to make this correct and right. And for the residents in that neighborhood, I mean, I'm just concerned for the trash cans, the mailboxes, kids, and if you've not been out there to see how much traffic's gone by, well, you're right, Ray Collins should be somewhat knows, but I don't go that way anymore. I go back Goyer because I can easier get out. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not against Chick-fil-A. Don't get me wrong. It's just the wrong spot to put it in. But those are my concerns about Imperial and Cedar Crest neighborhood, because I've been there this long too, and I'm content with where I'm at. I don't want to have to move because Chick-fil-A is going to make me move. They're not. I'm bigger than they are.
Thank you.
But I'm concerned about Cedar Crest. I'm concerned about Imperial Drive, because I've got neighbors, and their houses are only on the east side. Like I said, mailboxes are on the east side, and it's a federal law to block a mailbox. And now you want to put signs there, too. And have people make their driveways bigger? They won't do that. They're poor people, honey. There's houses built in 56 and 58. They're not going to do that. I'm sorry. These are my opinions.
Thank you.
I'm concerned about it. So I thank you, council, for hearing what I had to say. But and also another issue, when they didn't have Imperial go all the way to the parking lot and it was a dead end, it got flooded a lot because the street Imperial dipped down that way, so did Belvedere. If it rained a whole lot, it got flooded. Well, they got grates there, but I don't think it's going to keep up. And if it rains a lot again, you'll have that little dip there, and people get their cars flooded or dipped into it. I mean, I don't know what they can do more about it. I don't know. I'm not John Pike, and a city track engineer guy. So And I did talk to them. And, well, they said they went through this too fast without thinking everything through. I said, well, you should have heard what I said at the very beginning. And Mr. Pike said, and what was that, Sheila? Leave Cedar Crest residential alone. I don't care if Chick-fil-A's out there, but just don't touch our city streets, period. Well, thanks to the mayor, Tyler Moore, he's the one that wanted Imperial that way. But it's just more traffic that's happened since Chick-fil-A opened on Thursday, 3 down there on 31, 2 on Markland, people coming in and waiting in line. So,
Thank you,
and it just
Sheila.
opened.
Thank you
So
very
that's why.
much. Thank you.
So,
Is there anyone else?
Mr. President, let me, Ms. Sheila, I will get with Mr. Pike and I will get with Mr. Banatter and probably speak to somebody in the police department and see what we can get resolved with some of those issues. Can't make it perfect, but we'll try to work something out.
Well, I know you can't block a mailbox.
Okay.
That's a federal law.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You'll give us your name and address, please?
Brian Helm, 1645 East, 550 North, Kokomo.
Thank you.
I didn't come to speak about this issue tonight, but I'm going to. It's kind of ironic that all these people are here about a business affecting their residents, and you're talking about another ordinance where a business is affecting residents, which is Imperial Drive, right? So we put Chick-fil-A in a bad place. If you go look at the traffic, you know it. And now you want to affect all these people on Imperial Drive. Okay? And not right, but not what the real issue. Your resolution is short-sighted. All you're talking about is Imperial Drive on that Chick-fil-A deal. When are you going to address left-hand turns onto Markland out of all those businesses? You see the crashes, you see the traffic. Go out there now and see the left-hand turns, people trying to turn out of Chick-fil-A onto Markland and see what's going on. You can't get to Sam's Club, they're in the road. You can't get to Hobby Lobby, period. I don't even care if you try to come down Imperial Drive, you can't get there. So if you're thinking about traffic, and I understand all you're trying to do is open that drive up, but think a little deeper about all the traffic flow out there, because Markland Avenue is now a mess. It was a mess before, but it's worse now. So, you know, whichever people you need to talk to, expand this resolution so that you can fix Markland Avenue at the same time. And don't just stop between 931 and 31. Go west as well. People coming out of the mall, Popeyes, all that. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Hi, Hannah Guillaume, 415 North Wabash Avenue. I just wanted to follow up with you two, Mr. Ray Collins and Mr. Tony Stewart, if those residents had been informed about the no parking thing. We spoke about this the last meeting. And if you said you would make some sort of effort to speak with residents there, because it was your area and it's your ordinance. So I was just curious if there was any work done there.
I only can speak to the people I spoke to, and that's a person who worked with me, and they notified everybody on that strip. So it was maybe 10 homes. So as the gentleman said there, that we didn't go all the way down, all the way around, but those 10 homes that we know where they were notified.
And that's 10 homes out of how many that are affected?
I think it's about 10 that's there. Imperial is just that strip there. So like I said, we didn't go around the corner and we didn't go everywhere else, but that's that strip right there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 7227. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we'll call for the vote.
It's right here. Councilman Capshaw.
Nay.
Councilman Miklick.
Aye.
Councilman Stevenson.
Nay.
Councilman Griecu.
Aye.
Councilman Plow.
Nay.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Stewart.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanborn.
Nay.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
5-4. Passes.
5-4, the motion passes. Ask the clerk to read ordinance 7228 by title only, please.
Ordinance 7228 is an ordinance amending Title 5, Chapter 78, entitled Speed Limits Generally of the Kokomo City Code.
Councilman Stewart.
Mr. President, I would like to submit ordinance 7228 for the council's support on its second reading.
Support.
Mr. President, the council, ordinance 7228 is an ordinance establishing speed limits on designated streets to promote traffic safety, improve consistency of enforcement, and ensure appropriate speeds based on the roadway type and neighborhood density. These proposed speed limits are about safety and consistency and responsible traffic management. The 25 miles per hour designation on Briarwick Drive, Mund Drive, and Reagan Street and Reese Way reflect the residential nature of these areas. These neighborhoods include families, children, pedestrians, and daily local traffic. Lower speed limits help reduce the risk and severity of accidents while improving overall neighborhood safety and quality of life. The 45-mile designation on Dixon Road from Mill Street to Center Road and from State Road 26 to the South City limit reflects the function as a higher capacity roadway designated to handle greater traffic flow. This maintains efficiency while still ensuring the safety and reasonable speed for the court. These recommendations provide clarity for drivers, consistency and enforcement, and enhance safety for our community. At this time, I move ordinance 7228 be approved on its second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for ordinance 7228. Any comments by anyone on the council? Any comments by anyone in the auditorium? Okay, with none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Ask the clerk to read ordinance 7232 by title only, please.
Ordinance 7232 is case P02Z26, is a rezone for commercial use.
Councilman Grieco.
Mr. President, ordinance 7232 is a petition of Faith Temple Incorporated for a change in zone classification from IS institutional use to C2 medium to large scale general commercial use for property located at 935 South Goyer Road. This is the corner of Goyer and Markland. This was formerly the Fuel Church before they moved across the street. And they're seeking a change in zone classification to be able to market this piece of property for commercial purpose. It sits amongst many other commercial zonings. So I would move for passage of ordinance 7232 on first reading.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for ordinance 7232. Any comments by anyone on the council? Any comments by anyone in the auditorium? Okay, with a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Ask clerk to read by title only ordinance 7233, please.
Ordinance 7233 is case P03Z26, is a rezone for the Howard County Sheriff's Office and Jail.
Councilman Grieco.
Mr. President, ordinance 7233 is a petition of the Howard County Economic Redevelopment Commission, represented by Commissioner Jack Dodd, requesting a change in zone classification from R1 very low density residential to IS institutional use for property located at 750 South Dixon Road. Now, this is the property that sits directly west of the current jail. This is to be used for the construction of the new Howard County Jail. I would move for passage of ordinance 7233 on first reading.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for ordinance 7233. Any comments by anyone on the council? Any comments by anyone in the audience? With no comments, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That ends our meeting for this evening. Our next meeting will be March the 9th, 2026. We'll start with our pre-meeting at 5:30 and our regular meeting here at 6 p.m. This meeting is concluded.